Hi, it's Roni, and welcome to Summer Lovin, a YouTube hop, where we can use anything summer as our theme. And I decided to go with the beach. And it's also a Punched Out Thursday to die for, where we all will be using our punches and or dies to create our layout. And I think I'm only going to use dies today. And this is the photo I'm scrapping, and it's of my grandson Kyler at the beach. And I'm going to start out using some gelatos. And this one is caramel. And I am kind of making a base for my sand. Yeah, it may or may not look like sand when it gets done, but the idea will still be there. And I'm just kind of making a triangle. I'm going out from the photo and just, I am going to have water on here, blue water. So I wanted to leave room for that. I'm adding to some modeling paste. Some, let's see, it was distressed bronze, stickles and distressed bronze um, spray. They're both a whole lot alike. But I wanted the stickles for the glittery part, and then I wanted the spray to help color it because I have quite a bit there because I got a pretty good size area to cover, and I'm just using the little spatula looking thing. It's not really one, it's one that goes with the Cricut, but that's what I'm using it for. And I am putting it on here and making sure there's textures there instead of it just being smooth. I didn't want it smooth at all. I wanted to make sure it had textures. And boy, did I get impatient waiting on it to dry. And I'd poke my finger on it and it'd still be wet. And I did again. And each time I think, I like that look. So then I went with my finger all over the whole thing. In case y'all noticed it, I don't know if it made any difference whatsoever, but that's what I did while it was off screen and I was trying to get it to dry faster. I am using peacock feathers, I think that is. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. And I'm going over the whole thing lightly. Some places are lighter than others, but I didn't want no white, any white to show. I just wanted it all to have a tiny bit at least of a bluish teal kind of sort of tint. And Debbie Pierce had sent me these the shimmer spray, and I've never had a shimmer spray before. The only thing shimmers I've had, Becky sent to me, and it was Inklings, shimmer Inklings, and it's lavender. And I don't use that color very often, so I only used it once. But this color I use a lot more. Anyway, I tested it because I do have a really similar color that isn't shimmers, that's still dilutions, but not shimmers, because I think they're both dilutions somehow or another. And you could tell the difference. You could really see the shimmer. So that's what I'm using. And I wanted it to spread a little more. I considered using watercolor paper, but I finally decided to use the Vicky Bouton paper. And I kind of wished I'd used the watercolor because I sprayed and sprayed on here. However, it's not warped too bad that it won't go in the sleeve and be flat when it gets done. But I probably would have used it if I'd known how much I was going to spray on here. And it helps spread out the color. And I wanted variation so it'll look kind of like water blotches or water moving or whatever. But that's what I was trying to go for on there. Um, I'm now using white acrylic paint with some water sprayed in there to go along the edge and kind of look like the tide's coming in. Yeah, these are my thoughts while I am doing this mixed media and adding stuff to it. And then I'm taking that packaging. I'm taking some packaging and I crunched it up really good. And I'm kind of just smushing it all around so there'll be variations in it. Instead of it being nice and smooth with a brush, it is being very variegated. It's not all exactly the same there, and some parts are thicker than others. And now, now those shells right there, I made them on another layout a while back. I believe somewhere around April or something. I will find the link and put it down there below. But I had them left over, and when I was making them, I realized I did not have a starfish in there. I bought that set off Amazon, but the starfish I bought by itself off of Gina Marie Designs, and um, it sold by itself for $3. It was just all by itself. I got it and a lizard too, and both of them was like $3 by themselves. Anyway, I colored it with the same colors that I used before on the other set of die cuts, and I'm adding dots now with my very old Zig marker. I honestly, it's one of the first things I ever got scrapbooking. The set of these, I think maybe is a set of 8, and I am still using it. It's like 18 years old. But the brown I have used the most. I'm surprised it hadn't just ran out. I showed that Sizzix die much too quick. So sorry, but it's a bubble die, and it's kind of hard to find right now. First few times I looked for it, I could not find it, and then I caught it one day, I believe, on eBay, and I like the shapes of the bubbles and how they go. I do have another bubble die set that I settled for when I couldn't find this one, but I like this one better because it does have a few by itself, and I don't have to cut them apart like I did on the other one, and different sizes, larger and small. So I like that too. The other one has some larger and small, but not quite the variation. I'm just going to put them at the top, at the bottom, top and the bottom, and I inked them in, I believe it's broken china oxide, and sprayed it with a little water and blotted that off so it'd have a little bit of variation on the bubbles. And they're going to be coming out from under the photo in both directions, at the top and the bottom. And that's my fishnet, and it's so fish-tacular by Marlene, and it's just called Fishnet. And it's very hard to find. I tried to find it for somebody last week, and I could not find it, but I love it, and it cuts out so well. It's from Studio Light, so that would probably be the best place to find it. I tore it in half and I inked it in the peacock feathers, and then I scrunched it up a little as I was gluing it down too, so that it wouldn't dry flat even after me inking it. I am using the paper I've got there is Simple Stories Vintage Coastal, and I am just layering the wood grain and the color that matches everything else that I'm using on the layout. And I also distressed it a little bit. And I put it up on foam tape because I plan on tucking a little bit underneath it. As soon as I started putting my seashells down, I decided I wanted some greenery. And rather than just get the regular greenery, I decided to get the one I got off Amazon a long time ago. It's called Under the Sea, but I think it is still available on there. And it comes with seashells and these 2 pieces of greenery. I decided that one was just a little wider than I wanted, so I am cutting it down a little bit. However, I'm going to use part of the part that I cut off up there at the top before I'm finished. And I am putting it on the right, and then the taller one I'm going to put on the left. And then I'm just going to kind of nestle and tuck my seashells around it. And I love that seashell die set. Like I said, it came off Amazon too. And I spent a good while looking at seashells, trying to decide which one to get. I picked this one because of the fact that it has embossing and little cutout places, so that when you go to paint it, that you can paint along it. And if you just want to cut it out, you have variation on what the die looks like. And so does that little star. It has holes where I was putting all those dots. And I might have added a few extra dots and got a little carried away, but it does have holes there that you can make sure you put your dots in the right places. I am going to add foam tape under one of the seashells because it seemed to be kind of hanging out there, and rather it go flat, I wanted it to stay up. This title here, Paradise, I believe I got it in a kit many years ago. I mean, I was I was converging a couple of my iris containers, put them together because they had such small amounts left, and I thought that they would go together so I'd have an empty one to use for something else. And this was in there, and I thought, oh, that vintage coastal, the simple stories, it needs to go in there. So I stuck it in here so I'd use it. And this is the first layout I've done since I tucked it in there. So yeah, it went fast once it got available where I could see it. So I was sitting here watching myself so I could do the voiceover, and I noticed that that fishnet is just over to the right. It's not nestled all down in that little cluster. So I went back in there and moved it and put a little lizard on there because there was empty space on the net. You know, that's one reason. I wanted it nestling, but it still had empty space, so I put a little lizard on there. So the very last photo, you will see that in. And in all the other photos, you'll also see that little phrase down at the bottom saying just add water. It's got some green inking on it like the one that I'm putting on there right now has. And while I am finishing off my layout, I think all I have is some splatters to do in just a minute. But yeah, down there below, you'll find the links to everybody else that are doing the Summer Lovin YouTube hop. And yeah, all kinds of ideas for summer. And it may be a card, it may be some other kind of project. It does not have to be a layout, anything summer. And you'll also find the links for everybody that's doing the Punched Out Thirsty to Die for. And they will be using their punches and or dies for their layouts. So be sure to check out all the links down there below and have fun while you're doing it and getting lots and lots of ideas. But there's my layout, and that's my grandson, and he's at the beach with his mom and her boyfriend, and they are just having a good old time. There's plenty of photos, but you would be surprised how many he is looking away from the camera. I'm thinking it's his age. He probably seen her coming up with the camera and turned his head. But there's my seashells. Oh, and I forgot to do the white highlights on my little starfish. I might have to go back there and do that. That's an idea. And doesn't that look like sand there with the variation and the stickles in there? Because yeah, I thought they add, I was trying to think of something that might accidentally look like sand when I got done. And there's my without the lizard fish net that's up there at the top. But you will see at the end that the lizard is on there. And yeah, I'm glad I noticed that because it did look funny hanging out there all by itself, didn't it? And yeah, that's the last of my layout, and the finished product is coming up where everything's there. So if you leave a comment down there below, I'll try to get back with you. And if you like the video and hit a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you subscribe. And those who already are, thank you so very much. But have a happy, scrappy week. Have fun on the hops. Bye.